written production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.
We're seated 6, right? Okay. Good evening. I like that. Good evening.
Good evening.
Please join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. I'm Kat Fimmel, the president of the 2023 RCSC Board of Directors. They tell me to talk directly into here. You can all hear me, right? Okay. This isn't regularly scheduled. It was regularly scheduled for last week, but this is our March Board of Directors meeting, and I thank you all for coming. This meeting is a recorded, audio and video recorded by the RCSC management and staff. Please be advised that there is no recording of this meeting by any individual. Please take out your cell phones and other electronic devices and place them in the silent mode. I'll try very hard at the end of the meeting to remind you to turn them back on. Now I'd like to introduce our timekeeper, Tracy Bussebarger, who's going to keep the 3-minute clock. Management staff, I see we have Bill Cook, the general manager, Brian Duthu, Golf and Grounds, Mr. Mike Whiprud, Director of Buildings and Infrastructure, Chris Herring, the Director of Operations. What? You're laughing. Skipped right over you, sir? Well, okay. Mr. Kevin McCurdy, Director of Finance. Mr. Deermeyer, the Director of Bowling. I saw Polly Corsino at some point, who is a Visitor Center and Marketing Coordinator. And I'm going to take it that Teresa Serino, the Director of Entertainment and Events, is up in the booth, and she is. Okay, great. I'd also like to recognize Alan Kleinhans and Carla Young, our audiovisual engineers. And
you and Kevin.
And Marcia Johnson, our corporate executive coordinator.
Hello.
Thank you, Marcia. I also want to take a moment to welcome all RCSC members who are attending the meeting for the first time. Okay. And actually, before I do the roll call, I see that Secretary Totten is not here this evening. She's apparently still ill. And so I'm asking Director Nowakowski to be acting secretary for this evening's meeting. The first item of business is the roll call vote of the members. Director Nowakowski.
Thank you, Madam President. President Fimmel.
Present.
Vice President McAdam.
Hello.
Treasurer Fast.
Hello.
Director Nichols.
Yes.
Director Collins.
Hello, everyone.
And Director Nowakowski. I'm here. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Director Nowakowski. Okay, the first order of business, I'm going to come down to the floor so we can install our brand-new directors. I'm going to ask you gentlemen to face the audience so they can all see you and see who you are. We have here this evening our new appointees, Mr. Jim Ruff, Mr. Jeff Darbit. On behalf of the RCSC Board of Directors, we congratulate you on your appointment, which runs through the remainder of 2023. During your tenure on the board, you will be called upon to serve numerous, varied, and conflicting interests on behalf of the corporation and its members. The RCSC Board has placed their trust in your leadership, experience, and judgment to act in the best interests of the community as a whole. Do your best, knowing that the decisions you make today will lead to the future success of Sun City. Director Jim Ruff and Jeff Darbit, do you pledge to uphold the Articles of Incorporation, the corporate bylaws, and the board policies to the best of your ability and to work for the benefit of our community?
I do.
Well, congratulations, gentlemen. We welcome you to the board. Please take your seats. The next order of business is the approval of the minutes. The minutes for the February 23rd, 2023 meeting were posted for the directors to review. Are there any comments or corrections or additions to the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes will be posted as written. Next is the treasurer's report. Are there any questions or comments to the treasurer's report? Seeing none, the report will be submitted for audit. The management report. Are there any questions or comments on the management report? Seeing none, they will be posted as written. Next is the RCSC update by the general manager.
Thank you, Madam President, Board of Directors. I know this is a long meeting, so I will be quick about this. So let's see if we can get the slides on. There we go. Okay. So year-to-date income of $4.8 million was unfavorable to budget by about $191,000. So we had some weather that delayed some of the golf income this year, and then we had some slightly lower assessment income that drove the unfavorability. The operating expenses were favorable by $689,000, so we're doing a good job on the expense side. So we had lower wages and project costs, and then we had some lower software maintenance fees than budget, driving that. Year-to-date operating excess, $499,000, favorable to budget, so we're at $1.6 million in excess. IT, our information technology, processed 192 service requests in February, and our human resources department filled 19 job requests, requisitions, and I'm proud to say that last Friday we actually had no open recs, which is a great accomplishment, and it's a testament to our turnover as well. So without recs, we've got people that are working, so that's a good thing. Building and infrastructure, so 329 work orders completed in February, again, with 7 people supporting all of these work orders. That's a tremendous accomplishment. Mountain View, we've spent $245,000 so far. We're again pushing for an April 2024 groundbreaking, so milestones. So we've done the schematic drawing, and we did our first owner, architect, or contractor OAC meeting. The next steps is, and we actually accomplished this just recently, we had the Players Club come in and take a look at the most recent drawing of the Performing Arts Center based on the comments that they had made. Our architect had made some changes. Sun Bowl, so we've spent $29,000. So again, we're starting construction in Q2 of this year. We've completed the drawing sets, we've reviewed it with the club, and we've received some further feedback from the club, and the architect is going to incorporate that in and then update the drawings, and we're going to submit to the county. So I think we're rolling along there. Viewpoint Lake, I think everybody sees what's going on. We're removing quite a bit of the soil. So we spent $2.4 million so far. We did have, again, some rain delays. We had our most recent town hall meeting this week to go through what the progress. We've had 2,096 truckloads as of Monday. So we're really trucking along. So the Best Friends Dog Club, so we're looking at locations, we're looking at trying to figure out the total costs associated with that so we can get that into the PIF. And so that's where we stand with the Best Friends Dog Club. Clay Club, biggest issue there is that the electrical equipment, we're having delays in getting that, so the supply chain is holding that up. We are looking at, or we have procured the LED lighting, so we at least have done that. So as soon as we get the electrical equipment in here, that's when things will really start rolling. We expect to start in June. The Quilters Club, we're moving in next week. So next Monday, we're going to move in. So we had a little bit of a delay because we had some feedback from club members with respect to the tables. So we actually are doing some adjustments to the tables so that we can have a perfect move in. We actually had the president of the club come in and take a look at progress, and she's very happy with that. So I think we're expected to move in on Monday. So golf was income of 1.8 was unfavorable by about 67,000, which again is driven by the weather. However, again, operating expenses were favorable by 134,000, so they're doing a good job of handling their expenses, and we had 66K favorable to budget from an operating excess perspective. So they have an excess of about 860,000. Total rounds for February, 39,892. So it's a little lower than last year, but it's based on the weather. So I know Brian had some statistics on the number of days in the 70s, and it was not good for February. Bowling is kicking butt. Income, 211,000, 29,000 favorable to budget. Open bowling and liquor sales are driving that favorability. Expenses, they're favorable as well by 21,000. They have an excess of 85,000, which is 47,000 favorable to budget. Lineage, 31,722. Highest February total since 2012, so great work there. Ops, a lot of things going on. Most recently, the Wisconsin Days, the Vintage Vehicle Car Show, Sundial Concerts, Men's Club Bingo, Italian Festival, all successfully supported by operations. So all of this setup is handled by operations. And I was actually at the Wisconsin Days and had some great feedback with respect to the team and how they set things up. And so they're doing a great job there. We're supporting the clubs on our 990 forms. And then the water volleyball club hours at Oakmont were extended based on requests for that, so we've extended that, so I think they're pretty happy about that. events. So 4 sundial concerts, the Italian Association Festival. I did attend that with my wife and my mother-in-law, and it was a great event. I think everybody had fun, and we hopefully plan on doing that going forward. The U.S. Navy Sea Chanters performed, and that was another great event. And then we stuffed 7,000 eggs for the Easter egg hunt this weekend. So looking forward to that. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next are committee recommendations. Do we have any committee recommendations? No? Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, so I am, got to find my right page here, sorry. So on behalf of the Elections Committee, I'm presenting a motion to add one little phrase to the scope of the work of the Elections Committee, which historically has not included a simple review of the of election processes. So my motion reads, on behalf of the Elections Committee, I move to amend Board Policy Number 27, titled Standing Committees, section titled Election Committee, as follows. The Election Committee, also known as the Balloting Committee, the purpose of the Election Committee is to, and this is the new verbiage, review and recommend election procedure changes, leaving the rest as is, to recruit a sufficient number of board candidates, conduct the candidate forums, ensure that elections and recall elections of the board are conducted pursuant to the corporate documents, and announce the results. Do the work of the motion. Is the motion, right?
It's in here.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk that now?
Sure.
All right. Okay. Is there a second?
No, that is seconded.
That is second,
It comes
yes.
seconded,
Second.
right, yeah.
Second comes seconded. So do you want to speak on behalf of that first, or?
Sure. Just a little further explanation. I guess I sort of presaged the motion with a brief explanation. The Election Committee has given some thought to election procedures. How, for instance, can we streamline the process of in-person voting? Do we have steps in there that are redundant, that don't need to take place? And it seems like a natural place for the Elections Committee, which is very much involved in processing all of the online and in-person voting, to ask themselves questions about that. And at the same time, we realized that we were actually exceeding the stated scope of the committee because the committee didn't include that particular option. So we're simply wanting to stay within the scope that the bylaws establishes for this committee and asking for an addition of the ability for the committee to actually review processes and make recommendations. Yeah, you have to ask.
All right, okay. All right, so I have to find the motion then, so can you reread the motion for me?
So we're reading the motion one more time. On behalf of the Elections Committee, I move to amend Board Policy Number 27, titled Standing Committees, section titled Election Committees, as followed. Election Committee, also known as the Balloting Committee. The purpose of the Election Committee is to review and recommend election procedure changes, to recruit a sufficient number of board candidates, conduct the candidate forums, ensure that elections and recall elections of the board are conducted pursuant to the corporate documents, and announce the results.
Thank you. Marcia, do you know if we had anyone sign up to speak to this motion?
No, members don't normally speak on committee recommendations.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Madam President, I second that motion.
No, it didn't require a second, right? Sorry. Yes, okay. Mr. Director Nowakowski, I'll call now for the roll call vote, please.
Director Collins.
Yes.
Director Nowakowski, yes. Treasurer Fast.
Yes.
Vice President McAdam.
Yes.
Director Darbit.
Yes.
Director Ruff.
Yes.
Director Nichols.
Yes.
President Fimmel.
Yes,
8-0.
recommendation passes 8-0. The motion passes 8-0. Okay. Okay, the next order of business is the second reading of several motions. Therefore, they don't require seconds. Treasurer Fast.
I move that the 2023 budget detail approved by the board be posted in its entirety on the RCSC website within 10 days of the passing of this motion.
Marcia, did anyone write to speak on this motion?
When I read your name, please come up to the podium and state your name and member number. Each speaker will have 3 minutes for comments as indicated by the light on the stage. And the only person that signed up is David Clausen.
You know that I am David Clausen. My number is 105961. I just want to say I favor that, favor transparency, and I don't need to say anything more.
Thank you, sir.
No one else signed up, Madam President.
Thank you. There being no further comments, okay. Do the directors have any discussion? Director Nowakowski, I call for the roll call vote.
Director Fast,
Yes?
Vice President McAdam,
Yes.
Director Ruff. Yes. Director Darbit. Yes. Director Nichols.
Yes.
Director Collins.
Yes.
Director Nowakowski, I vote yes. President Fimmel,
Yes.
8-0.
Okay, with a vote of 8-0, the second reading passes and the motion is hereby adopted. Next motion, Treasurer Fast.
I move that the unallocated carry forward from prior years be shown as a footnote on the RCSC balance sheet.
Marcia, did anyone sign up to speak to this motion?
When I read your name, please come up to the podium and state your name and member number. Each speaker will have 3 minutes for comments as indicated by the light on the stage. Dave Whalen.
Well, good evening. Hey, John, I'm back. This is kind of a little on the granular side. Are you talking about a footnote on the annual report, the audit report we get, or on the compilation statement we get from month to month? Why, instead of a footnote, why don't we just have a section that says, you know, we have cash in bank, cash reserve, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Why not just cash carry forward? It's right there. People can see it. Why not? That's all I have to say.
Okay.
You have a response?
Oh, sure.
Let me guess.
I didn't know if you wanted me to respond.
Let me guess you're an attorney.
Yeah. So when this was originally proposed, there was a lot of confusion about the carry forward, and it's a monthly tracking year-to-year budget over budget. But there's a point in time, a year end, when the carry forward is established for the next year. And I thought it would be helpful to the members to see what the carry forward was going into the year on the balance sheets that are issued to the members.
No, I don't disagree with that. It's just you have one idea how to present it, and I have another. That's what it comes down to.
Right,
okay, thanks a lot, John.
David Clausen.
Yeah. Okay. I, again, just say I favor transparency, and it looks like either way, you're going to be transparent there. So thank you. I support it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
No one else signed up, Madam President.
Thank you. Are there any director comments? Director Nowakowski, please take the roll call vote.
Vice President McAdam,
Yes.
Director Ruff. Yes. Director Darbit. Yes. Director Nichols. Yes. Director Collins.
Yes.
I vote yes. Director Fast.
Yes.
Treasurer Fast.
Yes.
President Fimmel,
Yes.
again, 8-0.
With a vote of 8-0, the motion passes second reading and is therefore adopted. Treasurer Fast.
I move that one or more plans for using the carry forward presented by management to the Finance and Budget Committee for review and recommendation by September of 2023. These plans shall include the results of the committee's current work, if approved by the board, on reserve policies.
Marcia, did anyone sign up to speak on this motion?
When I read your name, come up to the podium and state your name and member number. Each speaker will have 3 minutes for comments as indicated by the light on the stage. Dave Whalen.
Hey, John, if it's finance, you know I'm going to show up like a bad penny. This one really bothers me. Are you talking about, let me state what I'm going to say first.
Could you move the mic closer?
Talking to, speaking
I'm
to the
sorry.
mic.
Okay. This one really bothers me. Are you looking for management to present some sort of budget, spending every single penny in the coming year, the next couple of years? It's a little vague. I'm not quite sure what I understand what you're getting at.
Sure.
It's the nuts and bolts of it that I'm worried about. I'm worried, I want to say, you're going to blow all the money and we'll have no rainy day fund whatsoever left. Hopefully not. That's a seriously bad idea.
Yes, it is.
And I do know that we're going to have to put probably a neighborhood $4 or $5 million into a new category, capital reserve, probably by the end of the year. But the remainder of the money at the moment is, we're talking, somewhere in the neighborhood of $11 million?
Yes.
And they're going to figure out what to do with $11 million over what projects and what time frame?
I think that's that's not what I intend. Well, let me put it that way. What I intend is that we have a plan for that carry forward to either, if management says it's needed in reserves, that it goes into reserves, or if management says it's not needed in reserves, then what projects can be undertaken with that money. So right now, Kevin is in the process of doing a reserve study, a very cost-effective reserve study, I should say.
No,
and as you know.
I'm aware of that.
And so the thing we're trying to get at is that we don't want to have this lingering unallocated fund. It would either be, hey, we need it for a rainy day fund, or hey, we need it for projects, and the members can say, yeah, I'm comfortable with that, or I'm not comfortable with that. But right now we're kind of in limbo, is we just call it a carry forward.
Okay. I'm still confused, but I've spent most of my life that way.
Join the crowd.
Yeah, really. So they're not necessarily allocating, I got 13 seconds, all the money, but just a portion of the money, still leaving some behind, and including what we're donating to capital reserve, yes?
We have to rely on management to tell us what portion of that money is required to repair roofs in 3 years, or to replace air conditioners, or whatever it is. We just haven't gone through that analysis.
Yeah, no, I see where you're going with it.
And so this just says we need to go through that analysis, have a recommendation by September.
Okay, I'll go badger Kevin later. Okay, thanks a lot, John.
Thank you.
Madam President, everyone who signed has spoken.
Thank you. There being no further member comments, are there any comments by the directors? Seeing no comments, Director Nowakowski, please take the roll call vote.
Director Ruff? Yes. Director Darbit? Yes. I vote yes. Director Collins?
Yes.
Director Nichols? Yes. Director Treasurer Fast?
Yes.
Vice President McAdam?
Yes.
President Fimmel?
Yes.
8-0.
With a vote of 8-0, the motion passes second reading and is adopted. Treasurer Fast.
I move that all work on the Mountain View Project Option 2 and building pickleball courts at Lakeview be suspended until a committee of representatives from all interested groups can be appointed to address strategic issues and alternatives. The work of this committee will be presented for member review and comment at the September 2023 board meeting, along with all data gathered by the committee.
Ms. Johnson, please read the names of the cardholders who have signed up to speak to this motion.
When I read your name, please come up to the podium and state your name and member number. Each speaker will have 3 minutes for comments as indicated by the light on the stage. James Kepler.
Good evening. The good news is this is the last time you'll see me talk about this subject. I want to talk about it looks like we're going to turn Mountain View into a pickleball facility. And I just want to remind any of those people behind me who live in that area, while I understand it's a very popular sport and growing, it's probably the most obnoxious sport in all of Sun City. If you live anywhere near where that boink, 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 boink goes all day long, You'll see what I mean. I'm not here to say I'm against it. I just want people behind me to know that's what you're going to be living with. What I came for was to set the record straight. As of many of you know, I was one of the original members on the early planning committee in 2019 and 2020. I also like to point out, I hope we can get going on the Mountain Views facility, because I pointed out last time, we only have 8 tables with umbrellas and 30 lounge chairs for a pool capacity of over 200. So maybe we could get a few more things down that direction. When the theater was being proposed to be replaced, we knew we were going to have to tear down the current facility. Realizing that we didn't want to lose, our group didn't want to lose this valuable floor space, which we estimated to be about 7,000 feet. One of our members in the committee suggested that a high school gym has about 7,000 square feet, and several had been built in the valley, and so we could look at these designs, see how much it costs. And the research we had back in 2019, 2020, we could have built a high school gym based on the numbers that we got out of Google at $3.8 million. Now, we didn't bother to check to see if that was true, but that's what it broke down to be. Our faculty didn't want any standards that what we would call a gym. We didn't want bleachers, we didn't want team locker rooms, we didn't want a scoreboard or a PA system. And we felt by doing this, it would save money. Our purpose was the design had a footage requirement that we were looking for, 9,000 square or 7,000 square feet. To many of us, it was a building with restrooms, flat floor space that could be utilized by any group of Sun City anytime. We made the mistake by suggesting putting in 2 drop-down basketball hoops, which instantly in Sun City became, we're building a $1 million facility for about 3 dozen basketball players. That was never the case. I want people to know that when we came up with this idea, it was simply to replace square footage with new square footage. Nothing more and nothing less. Once that came out, you wouldn't believe the hate mail that started in the Independent and how stupid we were, why would we be so dumb to recommend building a whole facility for 3 dozen basketball players. No one, I mean no one, in the audience or the board asked, why did we pick that? Why did we pick a gymnasium? Well, I can tell you, it was nothing more than the old building has 7,000 square feet, the new building would have about 7,000 square feet. Saving Sun City money was part of the design. We figured high school gyms have been built everywhere in the country. We wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel to do this. And no matter how many times I testified it wasn't about basketball, we had a few board members and people behind me that kept saying, it's basketball. I realize the Mountain View area is not all that busy, but we keep hearing that pickleball is growing. It's probably true. So if pickleball is growing, maybe people should consider that, a high school-sized basketball gym could handle 4 indoor pickleball courts at a reasonable cost, and when not used for that, it could be used for anything else. That was just my point, that nobody bothered to ask why we came up with that building, and the only reason was because we figured it would be cheap to build, and we could look and see what we wanted. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your work.
Charlie Peterson.
Thank you, Charlie Peterson, 130438. President Fimmel and board members, thanks for the opportunity to comment on this proposal. So I'm speaking as a member of the basketball and volleyball clubs, and we're certainly in favor of the Mountain View project proceeding. The Mountain View project has been studied, deliberated, analyzed, debated, and considered for the last 6 years. First in long-range planning, town hall meetings were held, there was an ad hoc committee, and previous editions of the board. We're now almost several $100,000 into a project that you're trying to derail. The audacity of this board to think that they have some special insight or vision to disregard the thousands of hours that were put into this project is mind-numbing to me. You've heard testimony in favor of a multi-purpose gym from folks who were on the original ad hoc committee, people who have spoken up at board meetings, at the exchange, as well as our own general manager, Bill Cook, who said the sundial is overbooked, and this kind of multi-purpose building would allow clubs to schedule their activities in this space. I wanted to just call attention to the minutes that we picked up today from last board meeting. And Vice President McAdam, you'd said that there was no facilities in the United States like an indoor gym at any senior facilities. And in fact-checking, there was one, in fact, at the Villages in Florida, contrary to what you indicated. And there's another one going in Sun City Hilton Head. So I don't think we really need a precedent for this kind of a facility. It'd be nice to be ahead of the curve on these kinds of things. And also, Vice President McAdam, at the last board meeting, you proposed moving the Performing Arts Theater to Lakeview, eliminating the multi-purpose gym and replacing it with indoor pickleball. We've got no problem with pickleball getting all the courts they need, but not at the expense of eliminating the multi-purpose gym and delaying the Performing Arts Center. When you ran for the board of directors, one of your stated goals was, and I quote, to provide the broadest range of recreational and social facilities possible to enhance the active lifestyle and well-being of all Sun City residents. If that statement is true, I don't think you have any business trying to delay this project and eliminate a multi-purpose facility that would serve the needs of people that aren't being served now, as well as a lot of other clubs that could be using the facility. All the due diligence that has been needed has already been done. Vote this proposal down and let the Mountain View project proceed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Darla Akins.
Hello, my name is Darla Akins. My number is 54010. And first of all, I just have to say that I do not feel like I want to sign my name on 9 or 10 pieces of paper back there. I'm not going to keep jumping up like a jackrabbit. So this may be a little condensed, but I'm sorry. It's the way it is. I'm hoping, well, I was hoping, that this meeting is not going to be another dog and pony show. Another meeting where all you do is patronize everybody. I'm sorry, but that's an insult to my intelligence, and I would hope that there are more people that feel that same way. You let 18 people come to the microphone and tell you that we need to move forward with the Mountain View project. Only 4 people said to stop it, yet you voted to stop it anyway. Okay, we got the message loud and clear. You definitely have a personal agenda, and that agenda does not include listening to the majority of the members. The clubs that are involved in the Mountain View project need to plan for the future. They plan their activities a year in advance, and they can't do it if we keep getting new board members that think they know more than everybody else. It also appears that you must be meeting privately, since you all seem to be on the same page before you even get here. So much for transparency. I don't need all your comments. Just stop, all right? I'm sorry. Don't throw nothing at me, because I can't see you. Then not knowing where you're going to decide when to have a board meeting is like chasing a scared rabbit. I can't even imagine what our management team is going through, and let alone a maintenance staff. This board is a train wreck waiting to happen. Kat doesn't know how to run a meeting because she has to keep asking Karen what to do. She can't even control the meeting and stop people from ignoring the 3-minute rule. John thinks he knows more than the man who wrote the book because you think we hired finance people that don't know what they're doing.
Point of order.
I have no idea why we're paying people if you think they don't know what to do. Jane never understands anything because every time you turn around, she's saying, I don't understand. And Denny's been on the election committee and doesn't know how the election works. Then there's Steve who wants to come flying in to save the day when there's nothing to be saved. Yet you think you can do a better job planning Mountain View than the hundreds of people who have already gone, gave their input. I can't even imagine what you have in store for us next. I got to tell you, this is exhausting and scary. But I do want to say, like I said before, the Sun City Elks Lodge has decided that they would like my services, even if RCSC doesn't. And I've been asked to serve on their House committee. I accept it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David Clausen.
David Clausen, number 105961. I am all in favor of relaxing and treating people with respect. And I applaud anyone who serves on a board, past and present, for all that you do, and I appreciate that. Now, I personally have been here only 3 years, so I was not here when these decisions were made. And I looked yesterday on the official Census Bureau Sun City 2020 census, and I thought that was very, very worthwhile reading. Now, I can see that I don't have time to say much about it, except that I noted one thing that stood out to me, and I recommend that we all look at it, including the board and members. 15% that year, the census said, were new, had moved into Sun City that year. So I am a newbie, and I do not favor building the Mountain View project as standard. I do not favor going forward as is because I have some alternatives that I think are very valid. I don't have time to tell you those here, but I think that the ASU survey and the work groups and all that that's going on, I think is very valuable. We should take that into account as we look at this. Who were the board members back then, and what were their minutes? What did they say? I have never seen, actually, a specific footprint of the facility, the performing arts facility. Maybe I'm negligent in not having that, but I've never seen it. So I would love to see that. Okay. Many alternatives, and I think those alternatives can also satisfy the fiscal responsibility, which is important. I think the alternatives could even include, which I may have mentioned the last time I stood here, was shuttling from the Sun Bowl, the amphitheater, the softball diamond, over to the Mountain View for those performing arts performances. Should we build that? And I'm in favor of performing arts. My children and grandchildren, not all, many of them play and perform, and it's very important. So I favor that. I just don't think we should take away all the facilities. I live near Mountain View, and I have played not softball there. I played tennis, pickleball, lawn bowling, and mini golf, and I have swum at other places. But I just think we have alternatives, and I think that this is good. Step back, take a look at alternatives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Randy Becker.
Randy Becker, 119810. I'm a basketball guy, and if the only reason we had the gymnasium was to play for basketball, I would be against it also. But there's many, many, many applications for it, people that want it. I don't want to tell you about how it benefits basketball or how basketball benefits it. A lot of people in this room would say they're not fit enough to play basketball, but the fact is basketball will make them fit enough. Basketball is a shape like none other that I can think of, and I know because I was one of them. Several years ago, I was invited to play basketball, and I thought I was in shape because I swam laps. So I went out there, and one time down the court, I was out of breath. And the first game, I had to sit out part of it and had to walk most of the time. A couple of months later of playing regularly, I got out, I could quit sitting out. A couple months after that, I could quit walking. I was only jogging maybe, but I was moving and I was improving. And after about a year of playing pretty regular, I noticed I was down 25 pounds. My blood pressure was much lower. My pulse was less. Later on, since then, I've been able to quit taking statins because of my shape is so much better. I've got a spring in my step. I can eat whatever I want, and it doesn't matter when I'm able to play. Sometimes you can't find a game for old folks. But the problem is we have no place to play in Sun City. There's about 50 of us in the club, but we don't do a lot as a club because there's really no point. A basketball facility would be a great benefit to the people that play, and a lot of people that don't think they can play will be surprised that they can. And I would just want to ask your blessing in keeping the plans in there for a gymnasium. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lana Williams. Lana Williams.
Good evening. I, for one, am very disappointed in the new RCSC board. What makes you think you know more and have worked harder than the last board on the Mountain View project? It appears that some personal agendas were the reason to run for the board, and that was to stop the construction. Stopping the work already put into the Mountain View project is absurd. The more we delay this project, the more it will eventually cost us, the homeowners. The Sun City's Player Clubs needs a new theater, period. My mother used to say, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. Well, that theater is a sow's ear. The Stardust Theater in Sun City West puts ours to shame, so just build our theater and do it right so it stands above the rest. Think about the Sun City residents that have attended numerous meetings and spent countless hours arguing points for and against this project. Did you not attend the town hall meetings? If you did, know that the residents have already spoken. Do you think this project got as far as it did without the residents' approval? We are a community that loves dancing, and we need the auditorium for additional space. Dances get canceled for lack of larger space with a decent floor. So when you have thousands of dancers involved in dance clubs in the community, you need to listen. The last board heard our pleas for space and actually understood that there was a problem. The multi-purpose room would take care of that and more. The addition of indoor volleyball and basketball will make our community even better than other senior communities. Baseball, volleyball, and basketball are some of the top 10 sports in our country. If pickleball players need more space, find another location. You found it when the car club was given the space that they deserved. The pickleball courts should in no way interfere with the new Mountain View project. There is absolutely no excuse for outdated exercise equipment in Mountain View. Switch some of their old equipment with some of the newer equipment at Bell and see how long it takes for Bell to get their upgrades. You could hold your board meetings at Mountain View since you feel it's such a great site. Displacing 200 to 400 line dancers on a Thursday doesn't make sense. The excuse of, it's always been held at Sundial, is quite lame. We may be a 55 and older community, but we are a very active group. You can do all the studies you want of other senior communities, but Sun City is a leader. Let them follow our example. The softball baseball club deserves to be upgraded. Make it a ball field to be proud of, where other teams will want to come and play. Del Webb was an avid baseball fan, played on a minor league, and was co-owner of the New York Yankees. Sun City Stadium was the spring training site for the Milwaukee Brewers. Del Webb's love of baseball alone should be enough to give this club what it needs and carry on Del Webb's legacy of love for the game. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave Whalen. Huh? Is he not going to come up? Yeah. Dave Whalen? Quit talking. You withdraw? Okay. Ed Sawyer?
Ed Sawyer, 17324. I'm here for a reality check. I've had a house here since 79. I don't think anybody else has been here and been exposed to Sun City longer than that, 50 years. Now, I haven't lived here. I've rented it out, but I'm a snowbird right now, and I probably never will live here full time. But just a reality check. If I look at the 20 homes on the block where I've lived, one person is a club member. None of the others are club members. If I go to the next street over, take 10 houses, one person is a club member. Why are we going to keep building monoliths when we don't need them? Why don't we take care of what we've got? The miniature golf course over here at Lakeview. Lakeview is a center point. I mean, I have relatives come or people come, I take them over there. That's the center point. That should be immaculate over there. The miniature golf course is a disaster. It didn't last a year. You want to see something being used, look at the miniature golf courses. Now, I think I represent probably 98% of the people that are not here. Where are they? They really don't care, okay? So you've got a very minority people. I want more pickleball courts. I want a monolith theater, performing arts. I want a gym. Where does it stop? Where does it stop? Why can't we improve what we've got and work what we've got? It's just amazing to me that we're not looking 10 years out. Now, the pickleball players, why are they pickleball players? Because they can't play tennis anymore. What happens in 10 years when they can't play pickleball? They got to be walking. If you want to have something worthwhile, just look in the morning or in the evening, the number of people that are out walking or bicycling. I see Sun Cityans try to walk at 10 o'clock on Palm Brook Golf Course when they're playing golf over there. It's just ridiculous. That's what it's coming to. Over the 50 years I've seen, the people that are coming into Sun City are not joiners. They're individualists. They don't join. So are we going to keep building all these clubs and all these monoliths, and they're not going to be? What happens in 10 years? Nobody's going to be there. You know, if you want something, buy the 2 golf courses that are private golf courses, turn them into hiking or walking trails. Why not do that? Do something that looking out 10 years that people are going to be doing. I know I've been to these sessions before, and you're going to do whatever you want to do, but I do want to end. I thank you for what you do up here. I know you're trying to do the best job you can with what you've got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Barbara Erickson.
Hello, Barbara Erickson, 132081. And I would just like to say that I'd like to see the Mountain View project move forward. It's been a long time, and I'm afraid another delay is just going to compound the waiting process. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I can't read this name too well. It looks like Turpin. Turpin. You're up.
Turpin Daughters, 117436. Just as a comment to a couple of things. I moved into Sun City almost 15 years ago, and I've been in 5 different clubs since I've been here. So most people not being a club joiner is something that doesn't really apply, I think. 3 weeks ago, on the stage at Mountain View during the rainstorm, we had another leak. The committee you're talking about will have 5 months to organize, get everybody included, get data, and make a report. Do you think that's going to be any more complete than the long-range planning program, the ad hoc committee, and the town hall meetings that have already taken place on this project? One of the things that has been discussed is using the Peoria Theater complex for the players. That would run something on the order of $1,000 a day, and we're not talking just the days of performance. There has to be a set built and set up. That's going to take time as well as money to have things covered. And that complex has very little in the way of available times available, and it's outside Sun City. One of the things that was not included in the operations report was the support that the players had from the performances that were just done, Old Hams, and the income that that provided for RCSC. And I'd like to thank them very much for doing so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan Bjork.
Susan Bjork, 112650. As we know, I am in favor of this motion, and it's not that I'm against improvement, because we know that lots of areas of Sun City need improvement, and I think that improving the facility at Mountain View is a must. And while he said 5 months, I was thinking, gee, all the way till September, but you know, you're talking summer months, so most of the people are, you know, a lot of the snowbirds are going away, so you got a lot for that time. But the reason that I'm against it is because what has been proposed is actually different than what was initially proposed. And again, it goes back to, we are ripping out facilities that we have paid $1 million for. And they haven't even been in 10 years. It goes against Board Policy 24, which states that the PIF has to be over 300,000 and include depreciation of 15 years or more. And so it just is not fiscally responsible to rip out lawn bowling and pickleball courts that were resurfaced to build something that wouldn't fit there otherwise. And the promise of pickleball courts are down the road, and that's where the 40 million comes in, but maybe that's not even the plan. So the bottom line is, you are ripping out facilities to create that we paid a significant amount of money. This is our money, and we should be fiscally responsible with that money. And what I don't see is the little improvements along the way, as far as the facilities. I mean, all the facilities around the area have some sort of need. Marionette has chairs that are disgusting. I'm embarrassed to bring people there. Why are those there? Why aren't we spending some of that money to get new chairs, just improve the facilities that we have? Again, bottom line though is, you are ripping out stuff that we spent nearly $1 million for less than 10 years later. That's not fiscally responsible. So I'm for this motion. I wish you could do it in less time to speed up the process and do improvements at Mountain View, because I know they're needed. But the bottom line is, if it was done wrong, if the assessment was done wrong in the first place, we should revisit it, because we don't want to waste money again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Margaret Ellingson. No? Okay. Bill Pearson.
Bill Pearson, 133438. I won't attack anybody sitting on the board, present or past. I would just remind people that elections have consequences. If this proposal was for $20 million, no one would be sitting here. We wouldn't have an issue. With all due respect, oh, by the way, I did go to those meetings down at Mountain View, the town hall meetings. I did pay attention to what was decided by the ad hoc committee, and there was never a number of $40 million affixed to anything. That came when Bill was asked to put together a budget for the PIF sometime in November of a year ago. When everybody saw it, or at least when I saw it, took my breath away. $40 million at Mountain View, one of the smallest footprints in the community, serving a small portion of the community. And let me be very clear, Mountain View needs to be fixed. The pool can be rebuilt. The mini golf can be fixed. There should be a mini golf down south. The pickleball courts can be added onto. That old building is a dump. I looked at it when I was on the board, and it was embarrassing to see what the players had to perform in. They should have been taken care of a long time ago. I've said that repeatedly. But you can't fix wrongs by just saying, throw $40 million at it and we're saved. Because that is fiscally irresponsible. Because with the $22 million for the 2 golf course buildings and the replacing the roughs, we have no money for anything other than golf and Mountain View until 2033. Oh, by the way, home sales are down 235 homes so far this year from last year. That's PIF monies that's down dramatically from where it belongs. You would be irresponsible as board members to ignore what's going on economically in our country when it comes to home sales, price increases, and if you simply said, we're going to build it because they want it, that's a mistake. So kudos to you. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, but you're on the right path. Sit down with the stakeholders, figure it out. I don't care where the theater goes. They deserve a theater, but do not spend $40 million on a project that by the time you're done is going to be 50 or 60. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I can't read this last name. It's either Mike or Milt? Okay,
No,
sir.
it's Milt.
Milton Lipsack, 130662. Over the last 2 or 3 years, my views have been well known in opposition to an indoor gym. I hear again the tirade from the basketball club. I would like to make it very clear, I've submitted this information to the board, they should all have it. The volleyball, there has never been an indoor volleyball club in Sun City in the last 10 years. Mr. Peterson has never attended a volleyball session. I have been an avid volleyball player in the fall and winter for the last 10 years in Surprise and in Peoria. The representatives for that group have come from either Sun City West or currently a resident in Ventana Lakes. It has never been organized and run by a Sun City resident. At most, I've seen perhaps a half a dozen people from Sun City at any volleyball session. The remainder of the people come from Sun City West, Sun City Grand, Surprise, Peoria, even one person from Buckeye. I do not participate in basketball. That's their own agenda. But an indoor gym for basketball and volleyball is one of the most expensive things you could build, and the current volleyball programs in Surprise and Peoria are more than adequate for the number of people from Sun City who participate in them. I agree with a multitude of people who say the Mountain View project should go ahead, but don't make a costly mistake by including an indoor gym. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, everyone who signed up has spoken.
Thank you. There being no further member comments, are there any director comments? Seeing none. Oops, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'd like to say a few things here. One of them being that we are actually in the process of getting information that has been sorely lacking in this entire process. So after the February exchange meeting, when Mr. Kepler came and explained the rationale for why the ad hoc committee was recommending replacing the Mountain View Auditorium not just with a PAC, but with a PAC plus a large footprint of indoor flat floor space, I thought, okay, this is interesting. I went down to the management and spoke with our general manager and said, I'd like to know what the utilization of the Mountain View Auditorium was for the entire calendar year 2022. As far as I know, that information has never prior been available to anyone who was part of this decision-making or shaping process. We have that information now. And it might be interesting for you to know that over 85% of the usage of Mountain View is by two groups that meet regularly there, one being the players and one being the movie attenders, both of which are going to be moving to the PAC, to the Performing Arts Center, which means less than 15% of the current usage of the Mountain View Auditorium goes to anything other than those two groups. Only one group meets regularly there once a week. Everything else was a one-off event that took place. I know that with the softball club had their annual banquet there. The board was invited and attended. There were 6 one-off events that took place. And this ought to be information that shapes our thinking in terms of what should happen if the auditorium goes away. So basically, we have a building there that was varied between 12% and 40% utilization. Utilization being defined as if just one person is there doing something as part of a club event, it's considered to be 100% utilized. So we're looking at replacing that by doubling the space, by having both a PAC and a gym, multipurpose room, whatever you want to call it. So for a building that was actually, that is relatively underutilized, I think that's something that we should take into consideration because we do care about how money is spent here. And I want to just assure you that we all are thinking in terms of it. If there is a real need for additional flat floor space, we want to know about it and we want to respond. So the second thing that we did was to ask management if they would let us know how much reservable flat floor space there is in Sun City. Spoke with the general manager and I said, do you even know how many rooms we have, like Sundial or Mountain View or Social Hall A, B, C, or D? And management has since put together a really excellent report on what kind of space is available. And this might just surprise you all, but do you have any idea how many reservable rooms there are in Sun City right now? There are 29. So we're talking about spending $8 or $9 million to build a 30th multi-purpose flat floor space. We as a board have to ask ourselves, is there a need for that, given that we have a scarcity of resources, we have limited funding, we have limited real estate. We need to be careful about how we spend that and make sure that we are designating the real estate and the finances we have to the things that are going to have the greatest return for us. Do we need a 30th flat floor space? Maybe we do. But when we look at the utilization numbers for those spaces, and I understand that not everything can happen in a smaller hall, but we now know what the square footage is of each of those 29 spaces. We know what kind of a floor there is. We know how many people can fit in those rooms with chairs. We know how many people can fit in those at tables. We know whether those rooms have kitchens or not. Management has done a really, really good job providing us with information that, as far as I know, heretofore was never available to anyone in the process of trying to determine what should happen with Mountain View. So I would just plead with you to say, give us a chance to find out what we need to know, what are the missing pieces of information that we haven't had that should be shaping our decision to go from an original placeholder of $17.5 million to redo Mountain View to $40 million. It behooves us all, even though we are a couple of $100,000 into the detailed design, it behooves us all, in view of the large amount of money that is at stake right now, to be very, very careful about how we proceed. We also are not, contrary to what some have accused us of, up here with personal agendas. We are here saying that we have a responsibility to make sure that conflicting interests are balanced against one another, that we look and see what do we have, where are the actual needs, what are trends in society that we should be observing and paying attention to. I think the process has been a lot less transparent than many of you seem to think it has been. And we do not intend to move forward in saying this is what this person on the board or that person on the board wants to have. We are asking for the community to provide us with people that will help to look at all those alternatives with the new data that is available to us. So please understand that that is what we want to do for you, for the community. We want to make sure that we are making responsible decisions that are based on actual data that has not really been available beforehand. The other thing, Mr. Peterson, I would be happy to have this issue resolved about whether there is an indoor gym at the Villages in Florida. So I had called and asked if they had that, and a gentleman told me, he said, no, we don't. We have outdoor facilities for playing basketball. I said, well, what if somebody wants to play indoors? And he told me that they have an arrangement at the villages where if people want to do 3-on-3 or 4-on-4, they can do so off-site. I said, well, what kind of an off-site facility is that? And this gentleman explained to me that he thought it was an elementary school. So when Mr. Peterson, when you got up and mentioned at the last exchange that I was wrong, I called the villages again and asked. Now, admittedly, the villages is a very, very large place, and it may be difficult for any given individual to know what the entire scope of the amenities are there. But the woman I spoke with this past week told me that she was almost 100% certain that there was no indoor gymnasium where basketball and volleyball could be played there. So I just want that to be said. I might have spoken to two people who were wrong. I'm not sure what Mr. Peterson found out about that, but I want you to know that we think it's important to ask. But it also is not really dispositive for us either, whether the villages has a gym or doesn't have a gym. I think that but I just wanted to make sure that I had a chance to clear up what seems to be a misconception. So thank you for entertaining my words.
Madam President.
Director Collins.
Thank you. You know, it takes 5 people to pass something here, okay? And that last year you had people that did want this, and they dropped the ball and ran away from you as quick as they could this year. So, you know, you're blaming it on some of the people. They weren't even here. The people didn't want to stay and fight for you.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
be it.
We're gonna move on. Are there any other director comments before we take the roll call vote? Director Nowakowski.
Director McAdam.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Vice President McAdam.
Yes.
Director Ruff.
Yes.
I vote no. Director Fast.
Yes.
Director Darbutt.
Yes.
Director Nichols.
Yes.
Director Collins.
No.
President Fimmel.
Yes.
6-2.
With a vote of 6-2, the second reading passes and the motion is adopted. Moving on is the consent calendar. We have several items, the first of which involves the quilters. There's a request to change the name of the Creative Quilting Club to Quilters on Grand through the merger with Friendship Quilting Club and the move to Grand Center. Along with it is a request to approve to de-charter the Friendship Quilters Club due to their move to merge with the other quilters on Grand. We just take a vote on that? Do we do a roll call vote on that? Well, that is the two that go together. Okay.
Anyone sign up to speak?
Oh, this is consent. This is consent.
Oh, you don't?
Okay.
Okay.
It's a consent agenda.
Okay, sorry.
Director Nowakowski, can you call for the roll call?
Madam Chair, quick question.
Yes.
Are we also adding the Sun City Volleyball and the...
Do you want to do them all at one time?
It should be a consent agenda, should be all
Okay.
done at once.
Then I will move to the next item, which is the approval to charter a volleyball club. And the last item is to charter a charter of the Table Games Club. So are we approving them by roll call?
It should be a roll call vote. Madam
Thank you.
Director Collins? Yes. Director Nichols? Yes. Treasurer Fast?
Yes.
Vice President McAdam?
Yes.
Director Darbit? Yes. Director Ruff?
Yes.
I vote yes. President Fimmel?
Yes.
8-0.
Consent calendar is approved. Now we can move to new business. I believe we have 4 or 5 motions here. Director Collins.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to approve the design and complete the repair for drainage at the Bell's Metal Shop not to exceed $100,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Hearing a second, Director Collins, as maker of the motion, do you want to speak on behalf of its adoption?
This motion is a safety issue. When we have human beings, electricity, and water, they don't mix. And we've been lucky for the last 6 years that no one has gotten hurt. We need to fix this problem, and we might even need to get some new mechanisms in the way we do things so that when it's a safety issue, we can handle them quicker than we have been. I think we need to work on that a little bit. Thank you.
This is a motion to approve the design and complete repair of drainage at the Bell Metal Shop with a cost not to exceed $100,000. Ms. Johnson, please read the names of anyone who signed up to speak on this motion.
When I read your name, please come up to the podium and state your name and member number. Each person will have 3 minutes for comments as indicated by the light on the stage. The first name is George Moltz.
Hello, everyone. George Molds, 154287. I've only been here about 3 years now and been Bell Metal Club most of that time. And in that short time, I have seen water from rain that come down and actually had to be squeegeed out of the building. I've stood there myself pushing the water back out when the water's coming down. The design is bad. Water just runs into one side of the building. The other side of the building has a transformer in it, and water gets in there and stands in there for several days when it rains. There's quite a lot of expensive equipment that would be protected by preventing this from happening. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lori Province.
Good evening. My name is Lori Province. My number is 114603. I'm the current secretary of Bell Metal Club, and I applaud the fact that you're taking up a safety issue that is extremely significant. The last 2 winters have been extremely wet. One hopes that it won't be every winter, but it doesn't matter whether it's a bad winter or not. It is a safety issue. I've been a monitor, which means in charge of safety conditions for the 7.5 years that I've been a club member on a regular basis, and we see this happen every time there's a heavy rain. It doesn't matter if it's especially rainy season or not. It's the incident, not the extent of. But this is an issue where, as Director Collins did say, electricity, humans, and power tools and water just do not mix, and we actually need to have some sort of a remedy. The interior of the club and the walk-through way that you make your way through the club facility includes the fact that the standing water is in the way of the safety infrastructure that we have for injured workers. So that means that you may have to walk through water to get to the safety cabinet to deal with remedies. So this is it's also put our telephones out for up to 2 and 3 weeks at a time. So this is something that's substantial, it's significant, and it's ongoing, and I hope that you will approve this motion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Debbie Pryor.
My name is Debbie Pryor. My number is 107525. I've been a member of the Metal Club for a little over 8 years. I served on the board back in 2014 through 2017. We fought this issue at that time, and it was an uphill battle. We still are battling it now. It is a definite issue. Not only do we have water coming from the rain, but we have it coming down the hill into the building. So I hope you guys really consider this. Like I said, we've been fighting for years for this to be rectified, and hopefully this can be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob DeFries.
My name's Robert DeFries, and my number is 107566. I am currently the vice president of the Metal Club, and since the 6 years that I've been coming to this club, this water seepage, water drainage has been a problem. And we've always been promised that it was in the process of being fixed. I hope that the board approves this motion because it, as you've heard before, it is a safety hazard. Sincerely, it is a safety hazard. We have members in our club that are over 90 years old. They come in there and they slip on that in the floor and bust a hip. I would imagine that a liability suit would probably exceed the cost of the motion that is before you. The electrical hazard of people walking by and touching the machine that maybe isn't grounded at the time, it's going to kill somebody. I hope that the board considers this seriously and approves this motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam President, everyone that signed up has spoken.
Thank you. There being no further member comments, do we have any director comments or discussion? Yes, sir.
I guess I'm always in favor of safety. And what is just very, very confusing to me, and I guess I'm going to be asking this question of management, is how could an issue like this go for 6 years without being resolved? I don't know if you want to answer, Bill, or if Mike wants to.
Madam President, Director Nichols, I don't know how this has gone this long. We certainly understand the issue. We've already have brought in our broker, insurance broker, to come in and look at it. We've had people look at it. So the only comment I would have is that the dollar amount, until we do an engineering study on it, we've had different suggestions as to what could be a possible solution to that. So I don't know that $100,000 will necessarily cover that. So I'm just letting you know that, putting a limitation on it, we may come back and have to ask for more depending on what the study shows. Thank you.
Thank you. A follow-up question for you. Has this problem been presented to the board, or not to the board, but to management? in the past 6 years?
I would actually, I don't know for sure. I would defer maybe to Chris. And looking at those, when we do that, I believe it has. I believe it has.
It has been.
Yes.
Why wasn't it acted on?
It was, when we look,
Please.
I don't know the answer to that other than, we look at it and we don't know, we certainly prioritize safety issues. Unfortunately, for the last 2 years, we've had a lot of rain. So the prioritization it wasn't there. I can't answer that. I don't remember going back and looking at each of the submissions. We get probably 80 or 90 submissions every year. I don't know.
Now, I know that Mr. Herring has been employed by the RCSC for many years. Can he answer that, why it wasn't addressed?
Well,
I think General Manager has addressed it. I'm not much sure what he could say, what he said. It is a very unfortunate situation. It should have been addressed long ago.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam President.
Treasurer Fast.
Yeah, so when Director Collins brought this up, I rode my bicycle back to where the issue is, and there's 2 roof lines, and it all drains back towards the back of the shop. And so, yeah, it's a poor design. We got to fix it, period.
Any final comments? Director Nowakowski, please take the roll call vote.
Director Ruff?
Yes.
Director Nichols?
Abstain.
Director Collins?
Yes.
Vice President McAdam?
Yes.
Director Darbit?
Yes.
I vote yes. Director Fast?
Yes.
President Fimmel?
Yes.
7-0.
7-0, 1 abstention. The motion passes its first reading. Director Collins.
Well, now that we've all heard this, I move to waive the second reading.
I second that.
I hear a second.
I will second.
The Treasurer Fast seconded. Second.
I do have a comment.
Director Nichols.
It was brought up that the amount may or may not be sufficient because there's not been an engineering study, and I think we really need to have that done, because it could be a $50,000 project, it could be a $250,000 project. And we need to have better input than just an estimate, Yes.
I hear you. Treasurer Fast.
I don't care if it's $1 million. If somebody's going to get electrocuted, do it. Sorry.
Okay, just 1 second, Director or Treasurer Fast, I'm not saying, I want to make sure that we provide a sufficient amount and sufficient resources to fix the problem. And I'm not sure that the $100,000 is kind of a swag. I don't know. It seems like, and it was said earlier that there wasn't an engineering study or anything else. Yes.
Yeah. I guess sorry.
Treasurer Fast.
Director Nichols. Yeah, it's a swag, but it is a serious safety issue. If more money is needed, we just look at it again for whatever money is needed, and we'll go from there.
Director Collins.
Yes. waiving the second reading now is not going to change something. You know, in 30 days, you're not going to have any better answer than we have right now, other than it's a necessity we need to do, and if later we need more money, we all know how important this is. We'll deal with it then. Thank you.
Director Nowakowski.
I guess I'm the one that you can blame for coming up with the swag. I don't know if it's a wag or a swag. One of the reasons that I did it and talked Director Collins into putting it into his motion is if there's a budgetary item approved, it directs staff to proceed. Otherwise, we go through the process of, oh, let's get an engineering study, let's get a cost, let's do this, and we throw in another 30 days or 60 days into the process to figure out what we got to do. At least now, as a placeholder for this money, the staff has the direction to proceed once they get whatever they need to do it. That's the only reason it's in there. We do swags continuously on many items. So I didn't see any difference between this one and all the other ones we do that way.
Further director comments? Any further director comments? Director Nowakowski, please call the roll call vote.
Director Ruff.
Yes.
Director Nichols.
Abstain.
Director Collins.
Yes.
Vice President McAdam.
Yes.
Director Darbit.
Yes.
I vote yes. Director Fast.
Treasurer Fast, yes.
I'm sorry, Treasurer Fast.
One more?
President Fimmel.
Yes.
I was going through the list
Okay.
late in the evening.
What's our number?
And the number is 7-0
7-0
with one abstention.
The motion is passed. Second reading was waived. Management may proceed. Director Collins.
I move to amend the Sun City Foundation Board Policy Number 2 titled Books Records to include the following. As funds in the Sun City Foundation checking account diminish below $1,000, the RCSC controller will email the corporate executive coordinator to request the amount to increase the checking account total up to $5,000. This amount will be transferred from the foundation's money market account. The corporate executive coordinator will email the controller upon completion of the transaction the total amount transferred. The goal is to retain few funds in the checking account in order to maximize the returns from funds invested elsewhere.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I hear a second. The motion to amend the Sun City Foundation Board Policy 2 titled Books and Records to include the following language. As funds in the Sun City Foundation checking account diminish below $1,000, the RCSC controller will email the corporation's corporate executive coordinator to request an amount to increase the checking account to up to $5,000. The amount will be transferred from the foundation's money market account. The transfer of the corporate executive coordinator will email the controller upon completion of the transaction. The total amount transferred. The goal is to retain fewer funds in the checking account in order to maximize the return from the funds invested elsewhere. Marcia, please read the names of anyone who has requested to speak on this motion.
Madam President, no one signed up to speak on this motion.
Are there any discussion among the directors on this motion? No discussion. Director Nowakowski, please take the roll call vote.
Vice President McAdam?
Yes.
Director Ruff?
Yes.
I vote yes. Treasurer Fast?
Yes.
Director Darbit?
Yes.
Director Nichols?
Yes.
Director Collins?
Yes.
President Fimmel?
Yes.
8-0, Madam Chair.
The motion passes its first reading. Director Nichols.
Yes, I am proposing a revision of Section 5, meeting of the boards, and it states, directors can attend all duly called regular governing board meetings, informational meetings, and special sessions of the board, either in person, by telephone conference call, video conferencing, or other communications method by which all participants can hear and talk to each other. I guess I need a second.
Is there a second?
I second.
I hear a second.
As a comment, we just went through a issue with 2 board members that were diagnosed with COVID, and it required us to postpone a meeting. I can speak for myself that I was still in quarantine at that point in time because I was one of the participants, but I could have participated by conference call or by other electronic means. And I think it's important because I think technology has come far enough that we can do this and still keep a meaningful dialogue.
The motion before us is to amend the bylaws, Article 5, Section 5, to add the language, directors can attend all duly called regular board meetings, informational meetings, and special sessions of the board. Either in person, by phone, conference call, video conferencing, in person, by telephone, other communications methods by which all participants can be heard and talk to each other. Ms. Johnson, please read the names of anyone who's signed up to speak on this motion.
Dave Whalen.
Dave Whelan, 17077. Here I am again. Can you hear me? We kicked this around in the Bylaws Committee, and I think I might have been the minority of one that I find this extremely dangerous, in that there's a distinct possibility that we could have a board of directors that don't live here. They have a residence here, but they could be somewhere else and actually never set foot in Sun City, or they can use it as an excuse to run personal businesses aside from being a board of director. I take that you're available 10 months a year. I now realize how vague that is, but I always thought it would be living here. I don't like this motion at all for that reason. I could see possibly in the future, long after we're all dead, of course, we have a board of directors where 5 of them, 3 live in the south of France, 2 live in the south of Italy, and the remaining 4 are scattered across the United States. And they do everything by Zoom. That's the reason I'm speaking out against this motion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone spoke who signed up, Madam President.
Thank you. With no further member comments, are there any discussion with the directors?
Yep. Madam Chair.
Director Mikowski.
I think the idea is great. Unfortunately, when I look at it, I see some issues in since the meetings have to be videotaped, how do we do this? My suggestion would be is if we turn around and pass this as a motion, we do an ad hoc committee of some sort, whether it be through staff or through technology or whomever, to come up with a set of guidelines on how we can do this. I don't know how we can go through the process of having the bylaw require a videotaping when all of a sudden that director isn't on the video. Some sort of guidelines on how to do this. Yes, I think it's a great idea. I think we need to proceed with it, but I think we need to also come down with some common sense on can we do 5 absentee board members? I don't know. And that's what my suggestion would be, have a committee work with staff, with our audiovisual people to see how we can do this and how we can implement it so that it would work instead of making sure that it doesn't work.
Are there any other comments?
Well, I guess, and as some of the board members up here have affectionately named me Father Time, we all have in our lives situations where it could be health, it could be a family issue, and it could be a number of things that would take us away from our responsibilities, for the lack of a better term. And I'm thinking that although I would welcome, if this motion passes, to put together an ad hoc committee to come up with all the checks and balances, and keeping in mind that technology is moving forward. And it needs, we need to recognize it. And it just would, I think the time has come.
General Manager Cook.
Madam President, Board Director, so I think, I don't know that an ad hoc committee is required. I think we can operationalize this. We're actually looking at a software package now that does virtual meetings. So I don't think this is an issue. We've already discussed this as a senior management team, so I think we can operationalize it. So thank you.
If you'll indulge me a comment as a technology person, this might sound very strange, but we have some issues with how we actually do remote access right now for very small things. I'm very concerned that we will have the capabilities. No, all right, technology is advancing, but I think before we consider approving this process, we should have some things in place. Number one, we should be clear in the knowledge that we actually have the technological capabilities, not that we're simply looking at them. I think we need to be able to have them in place. We need to be able to test them. We need to know that they work, and we need protocols for when it is appropriate to implement this process. Absent that, I'm not sure we're ready. I think it's a good idea whose time maybe has not yet come. Thank you for your indulgence. Yes, Treasurer Fass.
Yeah, I guess, and maybe it's an RCSC limitation, but Mr. Cook has said he's confident it's not a limitation. But the world ran on remote communication for over a year, the entire world, during COVID. The remote communications that I am familiar with, including Zoom, Microsoft team and are well proven beyond any reasonable doubt. My daughter, who is a elementary school technology teacher, will have meetings with her students on Zoom or other, sitting with her computer. We, I think, are the first of our generation that is somewhat comfortable with the reliability of some of us. I grew up in the technology world with magnetic floppy disks and a metal desk. So 2 to 3 days work went down the drain when I put that floppy disk into the metal desk. You only experienced that once. Today's technology is so robust that I just don't see a risk. Sorry. Thank you.
General Manager Cook.
Madam President, Board of Directors, the way it reads, it says by telephone conference call as well. So that technology, I'm very confident if that was the bare minimum that we could get established, that's something that we could definitely, have that up and running. So it doesn't limit us. It doesn't say that it has to be video. It just says by telephone conference call is one of the options. So if that's the case, then it's not an issue.
Each of us knows in our daily lives our use of technology and what technology's capabilities are. I wish our technologies were better. I know that Mr. Bird and his staff have been working for over a year. I know we've put a lot of equipment, networks, systems here. I know we have a lot more work to do to be even close to where we need to be. I'm the biggest technology advocate you're probably going to find in this room. I just want us to be careful that we can do what it is we think we can do, because it would not be good if it did not work, and we've had it not work, and it's been not good. And that I'm just expressing that concern because the concern should be expressed. That's all I'm saying. Is there further discussion? Treasurer Fast.
I think the concern that it won't work is that there aren't alternatives to video conferencing, which when I grew up in the corporate world was called satellite conferencing. But Marcia, correct me if I'm wrong, you can email all the director materials to anybody that wants them in PDF form? Is that a?
I do that currently.
Okay. So no director would be, all directors have a computer, is that correct? You do not? Okay. So I don't see it as being a huge risk that a director would be left out without information, but and still has the ability to communicate and discuss. So that's just my opinion. Thanks.
Director Collins.
Can we call a question?
Absolutely. Director Nowakowski, proceed with the roll call vote.
Director Ruff?
Yes.
Director Nichols?
Yes.
Director Collins?
Yes.
Vice President McAdam?
Yes.
Director Darbit?
Yes.
I vote yes. Treasurer Fast?
Yes.
President Fimmel?
Yes.
8-0.
With a vote of 8-0, the motion passes its first read.
I would like to make a motion to waive the second reading.
Is there a second to the waiver of, I'm sorry?
I'll second it.
You will second it. Okay. Is there any discussion?
Should we have
Member discussion.
Madam Chair?
Well, but no one, Director Nowakowski.
If we're going to continue to waive the second read on everything we do, I think that we should turn around and eliminate the second read out of our bylaws. That's my opinion.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other Director, Vice President, actually, where am I going? Treasurer Fast.
I agree, with my comfort level with technology that we don't need a second reading. However, I think it's important that because this isn't an urgent issue, that we have a second reading so that anybody that's looking at this that has an issue with it can come to the second reading and make their comments. That's my motion.
Director Ruff.
I'm a little hesitant to do the second reading, and primarily because the directors can attend all duly called regular board meetings. I wouldn't want a board member who is meeting every meeting electronically. We should be here present. Circumstances come up where you can't be here. That should be the exception as opposed to all. So I might want to reform the language a little bit, that directors, when circumstances create inability to be here because you're out of town or something happens, but not every meeting.
Point of order, yes, Treasurer Fast.
So the motion has passed as read. If we have a second reading, there would be an opportunity to make a friendly emoji. So, yes.
Well, at the moment, we have a motion in front of us to waive the second reading. Are we ready to take a roll call vote? Director Nowakowski.
Director Ruff?
No.
Director Nichols?
Yes.
Director Collins?
No.
Vice President McAdam?
No.
Director Darbit?
Yes.
I vote no. Treasurer Fast?
No.
President Fimmel?
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 to 2. Against.
6 to 2. There will be a second reading. Thank you. Treasurer Fast.
I move that the Legal Affairs Committee be reestablished through an amendment to Board Policy Number 27, titled Standing Committees, with the committee's purpose listed as follows. Legal Affairs Committee. The purpose of the Legal Affairs Committee is to consider and consult upon any matter submitted to the committee by the Board of Directors or President or other committees on matters of general interest to the corporation. When so requested by any member of the board, the committee may confer with legal counsel on behalf of the corporation.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's seconded by Director Collins. The motion before you is to reestablish a Legal Affairs Committee. The addition to Board Policy 27 reads as follows. Legal Affairs Committee. The purpose of the Legal Affairs Committee is to consider and consult upon any matter submitted by the committee, by the Board of Directors, or the President, or other committees on matters of general interest to the corporation. When so requested by any member of the board, the committee may confer with legal counsel on behalf of the corporation. Ms. Johnson, has anyone requested to speak on this matter?
Dave Whalen.
Dave Wheeland, still 17077. We should have just gotten together, John.
Yes,
On this motion, I'm a little confused as to the language. It's a legal affairs committee, but you talk about any matter. Are we talking about any legal matter, or just if a director or somebody has a question regarding something or other, the committee gets together and explains it, or looks it over, makes recommendations? I hate to say it, but it reminds me of a line from a song that said, "The Godfather lawyer makes you an offer you don't understand." Could you
clarify?
Yeah, please.
So the language was from the previous bylaws. So I didn't want to recreate the wheel, so whatever we had before, we'd have again. In terms of, what they can consult on, it's only on matters from the board of directors, the president, or other committees. So I think it's assumed in here that those, when they're requested to comment, it's a legal matter so that they're not independently out there rendering legal opinions. It's only when requested. And really the purpose of it, I think, was to have a resource, because we have so many very talented people who have legal or quasi-legal or research skills or whatever, that this could be a resource for the board, the president, or any committee before engaging counsel.
I have 1 minute, and I'll use it. I was on the original Legal Affairs Committee, and we were actually kind of working with SHOA on legal matters before the legislature and how it would affect Sun City, or putting a bug in our representatives' ear, that sort of thing. So when I read this, I was going, what? But I understand what you're saying.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Madam President, everyone spoke who signed up.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion with the directors?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Director Nowakowski.
Since the motion's been made and seconded, I'd like to do a friendly amendment to remove the last sentence, because I don't know what that means. The last sentence says, "When so requested by any member of the board, the committee may refer to legal counsel on behalf of the corporation." So what that tells me is, as a board member, I have to go to the committee and get their permission to talk to legal counsel. I have an issue with that. The committee is supposed to be a helping hand of the board. If, as a board member, I have to turn around and ask their permission to talk to someone, I'm sorry, what am I doing here? So I would like to make the friendly amendment that says we delete the last sentence of this motion.
I would accept that.
Do you accept that?
Yes, I
Okay.
would accept that.
So the motion has been amended to remove the last line.
Yes.
Okay. Is there further discussion? No further discussion? Mr. Nowakowski, Director Nowakowski, sorry, was there someone? No?
Vice President McAdam?
Yes.
Director Ruff?
Yes.
I vote yes. Treasurer Fast?
Yes.
Director Darbit?
Yes.
Director Nichols?
Yes.
Director Collins?
Yes.
President Fimmel?
Yes.
8-0.
8-0, motion passes its first reading. Treasurer Fast.
The amendment to delete the last line.
Yes.
Okay.
Should I reread?
Yes.
So I will reread the motion as amended. The Legal Affairs Committee, the purpose of the Legal Affairs Committee is to consider and consult upon any matter submitted to the committee by the Board of Directors or the President or other committees on matters of general interest to the corporation, period.
Director Nowakowski. Take the roll call vote.
Director Darbit?
Yes.
Director Nichols?
Yes.
Director Collins?
Yes.
Vice President McAdam?
Yes.
Director Ruff?
Yes.
I vote yes. Treasurer Fast?
Yes.
President Fimmel?
Yes.
8-0.
8-0, the motion passes its first read. Thank you. Treasurer Fast.
I want to thank Marcia for the help on this one. So before I read the motion, when we went through the bylaws process, there was a procedure where we had to move things to the board policies that were still in the bylaws. And because the bylaws didn't pass, those things are now in two places. And it's a bit confusing for people that want to look at one and the other. They are verbatim. I think Director Nowakowski has read them. So this motion is to remove the duplication. I move to amend the bylaws by deleting the sections currently replicated in the reinstated board policies listed below, with the exception of Board Policy 33, titled Investments. With respect to Board Policy 33, titled Investments, I move that the reinstated policy be deleted and retained only in the bylaws. And then it goes on to list the duplications.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you said retained in the bylaws. Only 33 is retained in the bylaws. The rest are removed from the bylaws.
The only thing that would be retained in the bylaws is the investments section, the conflict of interest, senior management, corporate records, corporate private policy, privacy policy, privilege card holders, guest and host punch cards, budget and finance reporting, Sun City Foundation membership, documentation requirements, preservation and improvement fee, and fund committees and risk management would remain in the board policies, but be removed from the bylaws. Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second? Okay. The motion before us is to delete the sections currently replicated in the reinstated board policies. The board policies to be removed from the bylaws would be BP1, BP2, BP3, BP6, BP8, BP9, BP16, BP20, BP21, BP24, BP27, and BP31. BP33 would remain unchanged. Ms. Johnson, please read the names of anyone who signed up to speak on this issue.
Dave Whalen. Madam President, then no one signed up to speak on this motion.
Since there are no further member comments, are there any director discussion?
Yes, Madam President.
Director Nowakowski.
Conceptually, I agree with what we're trying to do. My difficulty with it is we're removing from the bylaws BP1. Well, there is no BP1 in the bylaws. There is the wording of everything that's in BP1 in the bylaws, but there is no BP1. Normally, when you change the bylaw, you do the deletion by all the paragraphs that are being deleted and the additions by adding the additions. Now, under this, I'm not sure who's doing that or what. I understand. Marcia, I'm not saying that anything is, that you can't do it, but I'm saying normally that's what would happen, is we would have each paragraph highlighted because we're not changing BP1, we're changing Article 6, paragraph something, and something and deleting it. So to me, that would make sense to show that what we're deleting so that there's no confusion in the future.
I would agree with Director Nowakowski, and I would withdraw.
Yeah, well, I hate to say so, but I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah,
I have it ready.
yeah, I agree with Director Nowakowski, and I will withdraw the motion.
The motion has been withdrawn.
And Marcia and I will thank you for the extra work.
Did somebody withdraw the second?
Is there a second for withdrawal of the motion? There's a second to withdraw the motion. Vice President McAdam. Okay. All right, that concludes the motions, the new motions for this meeting. Are there any announcements?
Yes. Very quick one.
You were first, Director Nowakowski.
The Properties Committee, who has done a very good job, and staff has responded very well to what the Property Committee has done, is looking for inspectors to help us out. Anyone has any interest, please contact me, and or through the staff, through Marcia, and they'll contact me. We'll have a training session, and what it is being the eyes and ears to keep our communities as well maintained as they are now. Thank you.
Director Collins.
Yes, I have a couple. One is on April 22nd from 8 to 12 at the Nixon Group. We'll be having a shred-a-thon for anybody that needs to get rid of things, and all proceeds are going to go to the Sunshine Services. So it's going to go to a good. So if you need to get rid of some stuff, take a run up there and get rid of it. Also, at the Nixon Group next to the bistro there and True Value Plaza. The other thing is at the concerts and things, you're going to see people selling raffle tickets. The raffle tickets are for the car club is doing a raffle of a golf cart. It'll be raffled off next year. So you would also be contributing to a good club and maybe get yourself a new golf cart. Thank you.
Other announcements?
It's getting late, but I'll make this real brief. There is going to be an announcement on the 24th of April that there's going to be a new ride service in Sun City, and it involves autonomous driving vehicles. And I've ridden in one, and it's a very interesting experience. So, but anyway, there will be more to come on it, and it's intended for people in Sun City. It's going to be limited service initially, but keep your eyes open for it, because I think it's something that there are plenty of people in Sun City that could use it that maybe aren't capable of driving any longer. Thank you.
So I would also like to encourage you to keep your eyes open for an announcement as the board was considering the possibility that the motion, the second reading of the motion on the Mountain View project might be successfully passed tonight. We wanted to make sure that we would proceed with due speed to address the issues that are on the table now. And so there will be an announcement forthcoming about the formation of a committee that will involve, at the very least, all of the clubs that are affected by this. That includes the Sun City Players, pickleball, water volleyball, aquatics, tennis, lawn bowling, and mini golf. We'd also like to have 2 neighborhood representatives named to the committee, and somebody from the Long Range Planning Committee and a member at large. So this information will be forthcoming. The intention is that this group would meet weekly and it's an ad hoc committee, would conclude its service by the board meeting at the end of September. There is a possibility that it would continue to meet during the summer months, perhaps via one of the aforementioned technology possibilities that exist. So if you're planning to be gone during the summer months, that's not necessarily a reason to say that you wouldn't like to be considered for a position on this committee. But we do just want to make sure that we're not unduly delaying what we would like to see happen as quickly as possible. So our goal is for the community to be presented with alternative strategic solutions to rec center renewal. And that we want all members to know that their ideas are very much welcome, and we value the input of anyone who chooses to contribute to that effort. So keep your eyes open.
We want to thank you for coming to this evening meeting. The next exchange meeting will be on April 10th, just around the corner, at 3 p.m. Note the time. 3 p.m. for the upcoming exchange meeting. The next board meeting will be on April 27th at the usual time, 9 a.m. It's not too early to remind you about the annual members meeting, which will be coming up on November 29th at 6 p.m. Please remember to turn your phones and electronic devices back on. Thank you.
This is a copyrighted production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.